Good morning, everyone. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Center and the Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners online course. This is a continuation in Module 1, Carrier Acquisition. This is Lesson 3, going over the Dispatcher Agreement and Profile. The Dispatcher Agreement is the contract that is established between you, the dispatcher, and the owner, operator, carrier, truck driver, so that you can find them loads for a specific service charge, either a percentage and oftentimes to a flat rate. To some dispatchers charge like a flat rate of like $300, $400, $500 a week, regardless of the amount of loads they find for the carriers, the owner, operators, the truck drivers. Or you can charge between a range of percentages per load, anywhere between 5 and 10%. So you as the dispatcher will have to determine for your business if you want to charge a percentage range between 5 and 10% or a flat rate, whichever works out in your benefit. So that's the dispatcher agreement. And then the profile sheet is what the carrier, the owner, operator, the truck driver fills out, telling you how they want to run, etc. You know, what is the weight, capacity, cents per mile? Do they go short or long haul? Where they want to go to and where they don't want to go to. So in this lesson, I'm going to go over the particulars of the dispatcher agreement, show you my template so you guys can use as a template to follow when you're creating your own dispatcher agreement, and then show you my profile. You can tweak the template for the profile as well to use for your dispatching firms. So click this here. So on my dispatcher agreement, I have, if you have a company logo for your business, put it there. This is just a template of my logo. And then your dispatcher name, whatever your name is. If you have a phone, of course, your email, your business email, like I have info@dispatchingandtraining.com. And then if you have a website, so it just looks a little bit more professional. It tells the carrier that, you are a legitimate business. And then dispatcher agreement, dispatcher service agreement, contract, whatever term you want to use. And then here is the verbiage, right? So this is what the owner, operator, the carrier, the truck driver will be filling out and returning to you, along with the profile sheet and the other documents, which the other documents we'll go over in lesson 4 next. But at any rate, and then here's a blank, and let's use an example of ABC Trucking as a carrier. So ABC Trucking, the owner, operator of truck number, let's say 1, trailer number 100, MC number. Usually MC numbers are, and again, MC numbers are the motor carrier. MC stands for motor carrier. So the motor carrier numbers, which are unique numbers assigned to owner operators who have their own authority to run freight interstate. Interstate means they can go outside of the state that they live. They can go to any state. So MC number is usually about 6 digits. And now it's graduating up to 7, I believe. And then the DOT number, which is Department of Transportation, that is also a number that's assigned, the unique number to the owner operators. So they have a DOT number within their state and an MC number to go interstate. Hereby grants authorization or permission to, and then this yellow highlighted name is where you would put your name, the dispatcher. So dispatcher, to act as my agent for the sole purpose of searching for and booking loads. That's what dispatchers do. They search for and book loads for their carriers. And this is the dispatcher agreement in writing to substantiate and back that claim up. Process all brokerage paperwork, which means brokerage paperwork being the carrier packets that the broker and the dispatcher, or the broker and the carrier, are filling out to get set up with that brokerage. And then also another form of broker paperwork or brokerage paperwork is the rate confirmations, which are used to actually officially book the loads. So once you, the dispatcher, and the broker come into an agreement of a load that you guys have found and all the numbers are good, then you will sign that rate confirmation, send it back officially booking that load, and obtain or submitting all necessary documents required in order to expedite loads and dispatch via whether you do that over the phone, fax, or email. So obtaining and submitting all necessary documents. So the other documents fall into that category. That being the and we'll go over that more so in lesson 4, but they are the W-9, the MC authority letter, and the certificate of insurance. And if your carrier has what's called a factoring company, the NOA form, notice of assignment. But we'll go into detail of those, and I'll give examples in lesson 4. For my truck, which is license plate ABC123 in the state of, let's say, New York. So this is what the carrier fills out. And then here's some information for the carrier. Now, mind you, the carrier is filling this out and they're reading this contract or this agreement between you and them. All billing, invoicing, and collections of revenue from customers, which are the shippers, brokers, consignees, etc. Those are all synonymous terms with the exception of broker. Are the sole responsibility of the carrier. So in other words, the carrier gets paid first. They'll either get paid through a payment option of the broker, or they'll get paid through their factoring company. But at any rate, once they are paid first, then we as dispatchers can invoice the carriers for our service, bill them for our service. So if revenue for a shipment or shipments is uncollectible, then the dispatcher, this highlighted name, will be held harmless and no penalty or deduction of fees will be made. So in other words, if the carrier is not paid by the broker or shipper or through the factoring companies, that has nothing to do with the dispatchers. Not the dispatcher's responsibility to pay them for that load. It's the dispatcher's responsibility to find them that load so they can get paid. So we have nothing to do with paying them. We are providing a service of finding them a load so they can make money from. So if the revenue from the brokers or shippers is uncollectible, the dispatcher is not involved in that. They're harmless and no penalty or deduction of fees will be made. So that's an obvious statement, but it needs to be documented. Okay. The carrier agrees to maintain all proper licenses and permits to conduct business as a motor carrier in the area of intended operation. In other words, wherever they live and reside, or wherever they haul or transport freight, you have to maintain all the necessary permits and licenses. So if you're traveling interstate, you have fuel tax, so you have to deal with IFTA, IRPs, your MC or DOTs. You maintain those and keep them current as the carrier. And the carrier knows what these are because they deal with them daily, monthly, annually, quarterly. Additionally, carrier agrees to maintain general liability and cargo insurance at the amounts set forth by the home state of the carrier. So generally, general liability is $1 million and cargo insurance is $100,000, and that will be explained a little bit more so on the certificate of insurance on the next lesson, lesson 4, which is other documents. And then right here, the highlighted dispatcher, that can be your name, I'm just using my information as a template, will be held harmless in the event of any and all claims. So what that means is if your carrier has a claim filed against them, it has nothing to do with the dispatcher. The dispatcher was not involved in hauling that freight from the shipper to the receiver, nor did the dispatcher have anything to do with any damage to the freight because they were not involved in the transport of the freight. So if a claim is filed against the carrier for being late, damaged freights, accidents, that has nothing to do with the dispatcher. So the dispatcher will be held harmless in the event of any and all claims. And then for this particular dispatch agreement, the fee for carrier dispatching services will be 10% per load, including dedicated lanes. Okay, so dedicated lanes are the lanes that are consistent, that run year round, and the carrier is guaranteed a specific pay year round. They're dedicated lanes, they're always running, as opposed to the spot market loads. So you can change that. You can be 7%, 8%, anywhere between 5 and 10%, or you can even put a flat rate. You can say the fee for carrier dispatching services will be $500 per week, including dedicated lanes. However you want to structure your dispatching services, pricing points, how you see fit, that is fine. I'm just using this agreement template for you, something as a guide for you guys to follow. And here's the second page of it, and it's pretty straightforward. You know, you got a signature at the bottom. So as loads are picked up, delivered, and carrier is paid first, an amount equal to the above stated percentage or pricing scheme will be payable to dispatcher's name here. And in this case, payments to the dispatcher once the carrier is paid are to be conveniently paid with any debit or credit card via PayPal. So we have a PayPal. In this case, we use PayPal. Some people use Square, you know, Cash App, what have you. Whatever payment scheme or payment system that you are using, you would put that information there so the carrier would know how to pay you for your service. And I just provided a PayPal email as an example that they can submit the payment. And then this paragraph here is kind of like a miniature power of attorney. It's giving the carrier, it's letting the carrier give you the ability to assist them in filling out the carrier package to get set up with brokers, and to fill out the rate confirmations to officially book those loads from those brokers. So right here, carrier also authorizes dispatcher to complete carrier setup packets for any and all brokerages on the carrier's behalf. Okay, so that's number one, as well as complete any and all rate cons or rate confirmations on the carrier's behalf. So by the carrier initialing that they are stating that they're giving you authorization to do those things within the dispatcher agreement. So, which is a legally binding agreement once it's signed and by both parties. So now please provide your cell phone or text number here. So they'll put their number there and then their email there. So you'll have that. Either party has the right to end this agreement without cause at any time with 7 days written notice. So this isn't like a long agreement. It's a load by load agreement. It's not a non-exclusive agreement. You can get out of it anytime. There's no binding, locked in kind of thing, annual thing. So they'll put their company name here, their signature and date, and then they'll print their name. And then we have, you know, you put the dispatcher, you put your name there, you can sign it, dispatcher signature. And this was revised, you know, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. So this is the dispatcher agreement. This is a template, an example of one. Now, if you are a person who is enrolled in the dispatcher one-on-one training for beginners subscription-based platform, you have access to this. And you'll have access to this now in the online course. You'll see it, and I included a link under the lesson here for you to see it as well, a PDF link. So you'll have that. The next one is the profile. So the profile, the carrier profile, the carrier preference sheet, or however you want to title it. I'm just giving you again, this is just a template for you guys to use as an example and a guide for you when you're developing yours for your company, your dispatching firm. You know, this is not etched in stone. You can add to and take away as you see fit for your company. So again, if you have a logo for your business, you can put that there, kind of separate yourself from others. Carrier profile, carrier preference form, however you want to put it. We got the carrier's name, their home state, and then you ask a series of questions to the carrier, let them fill it out in order for you to better assist them in finding the loads that they specifically want and how they want it. So, do you travel in the mountains? Yes or no? What is your equipment type? Remember from the lesson one, you know what an equipment type is. So they'll put their trailer, whether it's a flatbed, reefer, or drive-in, 48 or 53 foot. Do you do long hauls? You know, if so, what states? You know, do you do short hauls? Do you have heavy loads? You can put questions in like Are you hazmat endorsed? Here's another one. What is the maximum load capacity on your trailer? How much weight are you willing to haul? Some carriers don't like hauling their maximum weight on the trailer. One of the main reasons why is because of fuel costs. The less weight that's on the trailer, the less fuel you're burning, the less it's costing for the diesel fuel. What days would you like off? Some carriers want weekends off so they can reset their hours of service, do a 34-hour reset to get ready for the following week. I highlighted this one in yellow because this is important. Their cents per mile. How much money do you need to move your truck? In other words, what is your cents per mile? Depending on the equipment type, determines what the cents per mile is. And as a dispatcher, over time, you will learn the average rates of cents per miles per equipment type. So when you see certain numbers that looks out of the ordinary for that specific equipment type, you can determine whether that carrier knows they're exaggerating that, or they're exaggerating the numbers, or they have no idea what the rates are for their equipment type as far as cents per mile. And then any additional comments. So the profile sheet is it's given to the dispatcher so they can cater their load search according to the profile sheet to find exactly or close to exactly what the carrier needs. So when they call the carrier, they will be able to better service them in that regard. So that is the profile sheet. So we have the dispatcher agreement and the profile sheet to get set up. In the next lesson, we will go over the other documents that's needed that I recommend dispatcher getting from the carriers up front in order to assist them when they're booking loads, to kind of streamline the process. So I will see you in lesson 4. Thank you.